Hi, it's Ileana here, and I will be discussing um, the Solar Sun Spot Observatory today. It had closed down on September the 6th, 2018, and it has reopened since then, September 17th, 2018, which is today. There had been much speculation why it had closed down in the first place, and after that, several other observatory live feeds of the sun, the solar stuff, it was cut off, so the feeds were down. There was about 8 observatories that this, the live feed was cut off. So there's been speculation. The event went viral on the internet. So everybody's been discussing the Sunspot Solar Observatory in New Mexico, Sacramento Peak, New Mexico. So it's been closed about like 10 days, something like that. And the FBI was involved, and they came in and cordoned off the observatory. So the local sheriff was not involved in the investigation. They were told to let the FBI handle it. And basically, also the post office was closed, the one beside the Sunspot Observatory. So the organization who runs the observatory is called Aura, and they cooperated with the investigation, and it was cordoned off, it was shut down. All the employees and staff at the observatory were evacuated. There was a black chopper over there at the observatory flying, and it landed, and there was FBI all over the place, and they were checking the antennas, the towers, inspecting all of that. And basically, there's been speculation why it closed down. And the observatory is located near the White Sands missile range and the Holloman Air Force Base. So one of the theories is that there was hacking and spying involved, possibly China, Russia, that they had an agent planted, and they had basically hacked the observatory and put spy bugs all over it on the antennas and the towers, because the observatory is an observation post. It has a lot of land in New Mexico. It's in the forest. So there's that speculation. Also speculation that the observatory was shut down. So the employees wouldn't see the solar activity that's going on, huge geomagnetic storm that was supposed to happen, the influx of energy coming off the sun changes. That was one of the other theories, or the other theory, that the observatory was shut down, so the employees could not observe all the extraterrestrial craft coming in, going in through the sun, through the wormhole of the sun, collecting the sun's energy as a fueling station, or SSP craft, Secret Space Program craft, that there's an armada going into the sun or coming out of the sun. That was another speculation, and a bunch of different photos came out by Gina Maria Colvin Hill on Facebook, and it went viral. She started supposedly taking photos of the sun and all the different craft or the extraterrestrial beings. That's what it looked like on her photos. She was using an iPhone 8 with an attachment lens, a zoom lens, and also sun filters. She said it was a telescopic lens attached to her iPhone 8. That's what she was using. And also, she started doing these photos and turning them into videos, supposedly of the sun, and these craft on September 12th, and she's been taking photos every day and featuring it on her Facebook page, feed, live videos. So that went viral because people started associating that with, the Sunspot Observatory being closed, and then other live feeds of sun footage shutting down in 8 other observatories. So this whole story went viral, both the closures of the observatories and Gina Maria Colvin Hill's photos going viral. It's been featured, her work has been featured in several blogs, YouTube channels, people speculating that the observatory was closed because there's an alien armada coming through, or ships investigating the sun changes, the sunspots, the gamma ray coming off the sun, some sort of solar event flash that the sun is doing, the sun blasts, the energy is changing, which it is. The sun's energy is changing. And about 1.5 years ago, I had a experience of going to the sun in my light body and talking to a sun being called Varia. And she looked like a energetic being, a woman. And she talked to me about the sun's corona changing, that it will be emitting large solar energy, gamma rays, that type of energy from the corona, and blasting it out. But we'll be okay on the Earth, that it's supposed to help us evolve. So our psychic abilities, evolve those, augment those abilities. So that's the chat I had with her about what the sun is doing, that it's going to change color to ultraviolet light, and that we're going to see the changes. It's actually, we'll see it on the Earth, because this is going to be huge. She didn't give me a date range, and I don't ask anymore about dates. So that was an interesting experience for me about 1.5 years ago, talking into this sun being in my light body, communication with her. And she also told me that there's a lot of different sun beings and light beings living in the sun, that the sun is like this huge energy vortex, that it's alive. The sun is alive, and it has beings living in it, and it is a Stargateway portal, so you can travel through it. The sun is like a wormhole, but there's beings living on it and in it, and you can travel through the sun and be energetically refueling spaceships, physical spaceships, light beings going through the sun back and forth. And so we had quite a chat, and I noticed different vortex funnels going through the sun near the corona in the sun. So that was interesting. I got to see that while I was talking to Varia. So I had that experience, and I'm linking it to the sun changes. And to me, it's quite interesting that the observatory is closed, but I don't think it has potentially everything to do with ships coming in and out, because you can just cut the feed on the observatory telescopes and stop recording the feeds, the live feeds, the cameras on the antenna arrays and the telescopes. You don't have to shut down the whole observatory. So basically, when I looked at the news today, the blogs, the all of it, and what Aura is saying, the university and the institute who runs the Sunspot Observatory in New Mexico on the Sacramento Peak, they're saying the observatory was closed down due to a criminal investigation, and that they didn't want to take any chances because the FBI was involved, so they didn't want to tip off the criminal or criminals. So obviously the FBI was looking for somebody, because you don't just have Black Hawk helicopters coming in, different agents climbing on the towers, the antennas, and, checking out the telescope. So obviously something went down in the Sunspot Observatory, because they're now saying it was a criminal investigation and the FBI was involved. And the Sunspot Observatory has reopened, and the post office is being reopened. So it's a criminal investigation, and for security and safety reasons, they had decided to evacuate the Sunspot Observatory, all the employees, personnel who were there, to cooperate with the criminal investigation. So that's what they're officially saying on the blogs and the news about it. They're not telling us what kind of a criminal investigation it was or still is, but it's now safe to reopen the Sunspot Observatory. And nope, there's no aliens, there's no ships coming in, there's nothing major happening with the sun. And it was observed by some of the telescopes that a hole had opened up in the sun. So there was, solar energy coming out of the hole. There was a sunspot irregularity in the middle of the sun with a hole that had opened up. So you could see that on the SOHO and other telescopes. So there was a lot going on with the Sunspot Observatory and all the rumors of why it had closed down. It's aliens, they're hiding the truth from us, that kind of thing. Alien armada coming in, ships coming in to observe the sun changes, which is true. There are different ships observing the sun. They are usually cloaked, so you can't see them. So they wouldn't be caught on solar observatory telescope feeds or cameras. Most of those ships are cloaked. And if they are refueling and collecting solar energy from the sun, you wouldn't see them doing it. They're mostly all cloaked. And in Gina's photos, it looks like there's huge swarms of extraterrestrial craft or secret space program craft, whatever, going into the sun for some reason. That's what it looks like on her images. Now, I'm not going to speculate how legitimate those images are or aren't. I found them interesting from my own perspective because I'm into photography. I take images of the night sky, and I've seen UFOs and craft and photographed them in the night sky. Gina said that she was photographing early morning sunrise, and that she was using a telescope lens attachment on her iPhone 8 and sun filters to have that yellow tinge to be able to see all this stuff that she was photographing. So I don't know how legitimate her photos are or not. I have a Nikon DSLR 7100 with an 80 millimeter lens. So, and I've photographed the moon, this big of a speck of the moon, and I've seen craft near the moon at night, and I photographed that. It's pretty high up in the sky, and I was able to get it with an 80 millimeter lens. It looks like Lightcraft, and it looks like TR 3B and other series of craft. That's what I was photographing. Some people have told me it's stars that you're photographing, or satellites, or the ISS space station. Well, folks, stars don't move about and blink with lights. Some people have told me it's drones, but it's too high up in the sky for drones, for me to be photographing and videotaping drones. I stand behind 100% that it's craft. I think it's craft that I was photographing. Even one time, there was nothing in the sky, and I said, I want to see a triangular craft appear from the clouds. It was a cloudy night, grayish white clouds. It was like about 10 o'clock in the evening. It was summertime, kind of like late summer, but it was a cloudy night. And I said, I want to see a secret space program craft or an extraterrestrial craft. And the next second, I see this triangular greenish craft materializing in front of my eyes up in the sky. And I saw it for a couple of seconds. And I'm like, dang, I wish I had my cell phone with me or my DSLR camera. But I didn't have either one in hand. It was just, I guess I was like wondering, well, can I psychically call a craft to appear in front of me just by asking them to do it? And I did, and they did. I think it was a secret space program craft because first thing I said, show me a secret space program triangular craft or an extraterrestrial craft. So it's an SSP craft that showed up, TR model, because it was triangular and it was green. And it did have that distinct triangular shape that I usually photograph. So that was interesting. Psychically, sometimes I can interact with SSP craft or extraterrestrial craft, light craft. And that's what I end up photographing and making videos about and talking about. So it is possible to do this with psychically, just to say, I want to see this, and it'll appear in the sky. It's been done before. And I claim to be a secret space program SSP asset, having served time on the Mars bases and the Moon bases, as well as the space station platforms that the Mars bases have. Those space stations are cloaked. So I know what these craft look like, and I've also had extraterrestrial ET lifetimes as an ET. So, and I've seen extraterrestrial craft and been on them. I've also been abducted by reptilians, but that was in the underground bases. There was Earth personnel there and reptilians, and that was near the Rostov area in the former USSR. So I've experienced the gamut of extraterrestrial abductions, extraterrestrial contact experiences, past lifetimes as an ET, SSP asset. So I've seen all kinds of different craft and all kinds of different extraterrestrials, SSP craft. I've seen the gamut of it. Personally, I think something was going on at the Sunspot Solar Observatory, whether that had to do with them hiding something to do with the sun from the public, cutting off the feed, closing the observatory. Maybe. A lot of speculation has been made. Maybe. But not all of the world's, solar observatories were closed down. If the government or the SSPs really wanted us to not see anything at all in the nighttime sky, like what's happening with the moon, the sun, they would have shut down all of the world's solar observatories, but they didn't. It was only 8. And the world has a lot of solar observatories, folks. So, and NASA has ways of monitoring the sun without needing these observatories. They could do it with satellites. Also, some of the satellite feeds, it was rumored that they were shut down. So that's interesting. But the whole Sunspot Observatory, the grounds of it, the property was shut down. So I do think there was some kind of a criminal investigation probably there. That's what was happening, and spying of some sort, hacking possibly. That's the most logical explanation for it. I do think that the supernatural and the paranormal exists. I do think that is out there in the world. So there's a lot of different possibilities here. The most logical is a criminal investigation of some sort, or spying and hacking. But it would be pretty hard to hijack a sunspot solar observatory in New Mexico. And this observatory is almost down the road from the White Sands missile range and the Holloman Air Force Base. So you got the government, you got the feds, you got military, army. It's all down the road practically. So, you know, why would you send a Russian or Chinese agent to spy on the observatory unless somebody infiltrated the observatory to spy on the White Sands missile range and the Holloman Air Force Base? Because they might be testing exotic weapons out there, creating them. They might be testing different craft out there. That's a possibility. So maybe they did sneak somebody in who hacked the observatory for that purpose. But you could do that in other ways as well. So many different possibilities out there. I've just been waiting to see what the Sunspot Solar Observatory officials say about this whole thing, why they closed it down. Now they're reopening it. They're not saying much, that it's just a criminal investigation and they can't talk about it because something is still going on. So they don't want to impede the investigation, whatever that criminal investigation happens to be. So I decided to wait to report on this, on these events, because, well, I just don't want to jump to conclusions. I didn't want to be involved in the whole hoopla of this stuff. So I wanted to wait. And there's still not much information on why they closed the observatory. And I want to also share Gina's photos. I took her original photo. Yeah, so I took her original photo. And what I did to it, I used different filter grades to have a look at it. Because for me, what was interesting is this L-shaped, what appears to be an L-shaped craft heading towards the sun, and then a bunch of smaller other crafts that look like cigar-shaped forms. And this is in a yellow filter that she did, and I said Sun and UFO images by Gina Maria Colvin Hill, so I gave her credit because that's her images. Whether they are legitimate or not, they're still her images, so I did credit her. And I did a blue filter on pink, purple, and yellow. And I did bring out the, supposed craft, spaceships, whatever they are. I brought those forms forward. So, because the yellow was distracting, the yellow filter was distracting to me from seeing the shapes, and I wanted it to be more in focus and sharpened. So I did the blue on white, pink, purple, yellow filter, the second one in my image. And then what I did was a green sort of grayish black filter. And I, again, brought out the image of that L-shaped craft, spaceship, whatever it is, and also the other forms and shapes, what Gina said is craft. And to me, it sort of does have the shape of craft. That's why I chose that distinct specific picture. And she took many different images, not just these ones. And what I said, what I think it is UFO spaceships near the sun and perhaps entering the sun as a star gateway portal to travel to different places in outer space. Because as I see it, the ships are heading into the sun, not out from it, towards it. So that was the first image, and this is the second image. And here I took two of her photos. And again, I was interested in the L-shaped craft, what I assume is a craft. So again, I chose to change the filter to that if infrared, actually using red tone, and bring out the L-shaped craft that's on the left-hand side. And I also did a heat signature mapping filter, green filter, and you can see the energy. Like, I cropped the L-shaped craft, and you can see it has a distinct shape, what looks like airplane propellers or jet fuel or whatever, or plasma engines, whatnot, and it looks like it has an exhaust signature of some sort. So either some kind of fuel for jet propulsion, something like that, you know. So it has a heat signature that definitely looks like an L-shaped craft with a heat signature, whether it's jet fuel, propulsion, rocketry, whatever, older class solar warden ships perhaps, whether it's plasma engines. To me, it looks like it is putting out some kind of an exhaust from the back of the craft. So it could be an older style of SSB craft, or it could be plasma engines. It does remind me of a plane with propellers. Just looks that way to me. That's the first thing I thought of. And then the other image has these, what looks like cigar-shaped craft or what looks like a helicopter in the images. And again, I used a greenish gray-black filter to bring out the shapes of the craft. And I said spaceships heading towards the sun. Images are by Gina Maria Colvin Hill. The other caption I used was different types of spacecraft heading towards the sun. These craft appear to be square and cigar-shaped in form, because the L-shaped craft also looks squarish to me. So it has several different forms, that L-shaped craft, and what looks like the cigar elongated craft in these basically 3 images that I chose. And she has many different photos that she's taken from September 12th all the way to September 15th of what she claims is the craft heading into the sun or beside the sun, towards the sun. And I don't know how legit these images are. I don't claim that they're legit or not. I'm not going to go there. It's not worth it. I find them interesting. That's why I posted them on Messages from a Star Traveler Facebook page, because this is interesting to me. That's why I did it. I've seen extraterrestrial ships and I've seen secret space program ships. So, and the L-shaped craft has a distinct shape to it. So that is what got me interested in the first photos that Gina took on September the 12th. Because obviously it looks like the sun, it looks like some sort of craft are heading towards it. So those are the only images that I focused on doing the filters, because it took me like 6 hours to do these filters and then put these 2 images together. So for me, this was a lot of work. And I only focused on the images where it appears it is craft flying towards the sun or into the sun. So this is what I decided to work with. I think it was worth my time because this does look like craft heading towards the sun, to me at least. I'm not going to speculate what Gina actually photographed, whether it was the sun with craft heading towards it or something else. She thinks it's craft. To me, it looks like craft. So that's why I took the time to work with these images. To me, it was important. So this is where I chose to focus my time. I thought I would put this information together with the Sunspot Observatory closure, because it was, well, happening at the same time. Gina appeared suddenly and went viral as the observatory closed, although she does in her videos about all the sun stuff and the And the craft, she does not talk about the Sunspot Observatory or the other observatories with their live feeds being shut down. She only claims she was photographing the sun and these crafts heading towards the sun, that there's something going on with the sun activity. So, I'm glad I waited to report on this subject because now the Aura organization who maintains the observatory, the Sunspot Observatory Institute. They have an institute, and they monitor the sun and its activity. They're reporting its criminal investigation. So there's some information, but not a lot. So this is the news that I wanted to discuss today. And I'm glad I took my time with all of this because they're saying it's a criminal investigation. Gina is still taking photos of the sun, the craft, and the moon, and seeing craft beside the moon. And she's kind of a Facebook celebrity now. Some people think her photos are legit, some don't. Some people question, how can you take such detailed photos of the sun and craft with an iPhone with an attached lens that's can do 12x zoom, can do 16x zoom, 40x zoom. I actually went on the internet and did some research about these attachment lenses, telescopic attachment lenses for iPhones and other cell phones, smartphones. And you can get 40x zoom. In my experience, 40x zoom can get you quite a lot in terms of zoomage of the sky and what's flying in the sky. I'm not sure about the sun and craft flying into the sun or out from the sun, whatever the case may be. But she photographed something, and some of the images are compelling. It looks like the sun, and it looks like craft heading into the sun or towards the sun for some purpose, and it looks like there's a lot of ships or maybe some sort of space beings. Some of the stuff that she photographed looks like bugs. Some live beings, bugs, near the sun. I won't speculate, and I won't speculate whether her images are legit or not. That's not what I wanted this talk to be. I thought the stories were interesting, both the Sunspot Observatory and Gina's photos, so I chose to feature it as a story. So thank you, everyone, for taking the time to listen to this report, and namaste.